Business, a person's occupation, profession, or trade. Connection, a relationship in which a person or idea is linked or associated with something else. Welcome to Business Connection. Each week, our program will offer inspiration to navigate the business world. Information you can use to succeed in any field. And we will help you focus on your goals. Join us now for Business Connection with your host, B.C. Clark.
Hello and welcome to the Business Connection. I'm your host, B.C. Clark. As you know, we interview business owners across the state. Today, my guest is Amy McCae. Amy McCae is an author on LinkedIn. She is a mindfulness teacher and guru. So, Amy, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yes. So, tell us a little bit about Amy, and then I want to talk to you about mindfulness.
Yeah, all right. So I'm Amy McCae. I'm an executive and leadership coach. I specialize in mindfulness. I'm a single mom, 19 and 11-year-old girls. I enjoy reading and writing and meditating and working out in the sun, in the warm sun.
In the warm sun.
In the warm sun. We don't have that today. Not like today.
Of course. And that's good. And so I know that you are, on LinkedIn, huge. Okay, you have a complete following on. I just kind of got into mindfulness actually after following you. So talk to us a little bit about mindfulness and what that really is. And because I know that, you'll see mindfulness leadership, mindfulness, this, that, the other. So just kind of talk to us about it. I mean, I feel like I know a little bit about it now because I've been following you, but talk to us about it because I think people don't realize sometimes the things that maybe they need to help themselves, when it comes to mindfulness. It's almost like people say, well, you better mind this or you better mind that, right? So it's not quite the same thing, but it kind of is. So talk about mindfulness a little bit.
I'll look at it a couple different ways. So the formal definition in, let's say, the neuroscience, the people researching this, is it basically means to pay attention on purpose in the present moment without passing judgment. That's its simplest. Well, that could be to anything. Right. So it could be your breath, it could be, I always say it's the sun on your face when you walk outside. It is the smell of fresh baked cookies. There's all those mini moments you have an opportunity. And then there's the formal practices such as a body scan, gratitude, breathing, loving kindness meditation. So there's those formal practices, but it could be as simple. Mindfulness and self-awareness. Google has this program called Search Inside Yourself, and it's their emotional intelligence leadership program. And within that, even if you read the book, it's defining Daniel Goleman, who's kind of AKA the godfather of emotional intelligence, and then Daniel Goleman, who's kind of the godfather of mindfulness. They basically defined mindfulness and self-awareness as the same thing. And think about it. If you don't know yourself, if you don't know your especially values, your values, beliefs,
purpose,
all these things, then what are you going to do in this world?
Exactly. Yeah. And so it's almost like taking time to smell the roses.
Yeah.
When I hear that, to me, that's always what mindfulness is. Being aware in so many ways. I think also if you want to put it to, like life itself, understanding who you are, understanding, what's important to you, knowing what your purpose is and how you're getting there, or how you're going in that direction. So I think it's, for me, when I think of mindfulness, I think of that, smelling the coffee, looking, watching the blooms, just little things that people...
It makes the little things in life so much more beautiful.
Yes,
It really gives you an opportunity to appreciate people, appreciate things, and then the world is just a much better place. Your daily life is better, your relationships are better. If you pay attention to what your body needs, you feed it what it needs, we've talked about that too, you pay attention to what it wants, and you move it the way it wants, and then you have better health. And relationships are always a big thing. Mindfulness, a lot of times people think that you have to be a monk, monk on a mountain chanting Om, and it is nothing like that. I don't care
Well, when I first thought about it, I thought that's what it was. I was like, I'm not going away.
Not
No.
going, no. But they don't have to deal with people, right?
Right, no, they really don't.
So if you're sitting on a
They
mountain.
really don't.
So,
They just, but can you imagine that peace? I
Yeah,
mean,
you're
it would
sitting
get
in-
old.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because
Yes.
if you're a people person and you love people and you want to be around people, but you also want to serve people, it would be hard to be away.
It'd be
You
hard
know
to
what I mean?
be
All
away,
the time.
yeah.
But I think you need to have that
Oh,
time
cute, yeah.
where you
Space.
get out and away
Mm-hmm.
from things and just be in you.
Being you. Well, it allows you, I always say mindfulness, like, allows you to be able to make more conscious decisions. And there's neuroscience on this, like it's actually proven neuroscience. There's like 30, 35 years of research on it. So it's not just me, not just my personal experience.
Yeah.
But I always say practice the pause. Always like, before you send that text message or that email, pause.
Yeah.
Be mindful for just a minute. Because I don't know one person who has not said, dang, I wish I hadn't sent that
yes.
text or that email. You know, pause,
Pause.
take a breath. What am I feeling? Like, what's really going
Write it
on?
on
Can I come
paper
back to
first.
it? Right, write it on paper. Take
So
a
that
minute.
you're not near the computer.
Yes, take a time out. Go do something else. I don't care. Eat some chocolate. Go take a walk. Like, go back to work. But pause.
Pause.
Just
so
a pause
you know,
before
in
you send that.
Toastmasters, we have this thing so that we don't use those words that we
Yes.
throw in things. And they would say, so that you don't use a filler word, pause. So you said,
Let it come to you, right?
So, and you know, I just think that'll be crazy. People wondering why I'm pausing. But it's not like you're pausing for like 5 minutes or
No,
anything
it
like
actually
that. It's just
engages
so-
people when you pause. It's not
Because
my
they stop
strong
and they
point
look,
when
they
I'm
was like,
speaking.
okay,
Yeah.
what's happening? You know, yeah. So, true that.
That pause. And then I think when there's space, kind of why we meditate, you know, that answers, it could be prayer. Some people pray, but you pause, right? Like you pause and you take this time out
Yeah.
and answers come to you. It's this really amazing
It
thing.
is. It is.
And it doesn't when I sit there and try to figure it out. I can work really, really, really hard and I can do all kinds of things, but the real answers usually come when I'm quiet.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how the Holy Spirit works. I mean,
Right, it comes through you,
just
but you
comes
have to
through.
shut up.
Yeah. Because when you talk all the time, you don't even get anything.
Don't get any, you do not get the
No.
information that you need that comes from somewhere else.
Yes, and I tell you what, I think that that's a great thing. And I wake up early in the morning.
I know.
And it's crazy sometimes. I don't even know I'm up half the time. But that is like the best time for me to just be quiet.
Quiet.
Just
You
be
tune
quiet.
in yourself, the
Oh, my
whatever.
goodness. And, you know, I mean, it is that time. I think that I'm most mindful, you know, of everything. You know.
It's a good way to start the day because I feel like, well, and again, science kind of proves it, that if you can start your day with something, even if it's 2 minutes, before you check your
Excuse
phone,
me.
breathe for 2 minutes. You
Right.
know? And it allows you to kind of carry that, you know, yogis will tell you that don't let the day get away from you. You control your day. You control your day. But you
Right.
can't if you're not being mindful. It's hard to manage your day if
What
you're
happened
like,
here? I got water going on.
you're just running
I think if I
around.
put my glasses on, I won't have to cough. They used to say, I'll say, I can't hear because I don't have my glasses. I'm being mindful, okay? The other thing I think it's really important is to get help when you need it. I think that's another, I don't know why I'm coughing like this, but anyway, maybe I got overheated. I'm going to pause for a
gonna
minute.
pause.
And you go ahead and talk about mindfulness.
So when you're talking about asking for help, again, that's a level of self-awareness, right? To know that you're in a difficult situation, whatever it might be. So if you pause and ask for help. I've been fascinated, nobody really cares about this, but I tend to be fascinated with the neuroscience of it. I'm totally in awe over, I always knew there was stuff going on, but I didn't know that there was,
Yeah.
you know, all that's really actually going on.
That there was actual data
The-
and
the
strategy,
strategy
behind
to
it.
prove it. Because this is the thing I talk about all the time on the emotional intelligence piece and people being stressed. People are stressed and anxious all the time, right? Especially holiday season's coming up. So I always use this analogy, and I know you've probably heard me say this many, many times. Your amygdala is the part of your brain responsible for fight, flight, or freeze, right? And that's activated a lot of the time.
On flight.
Right? And so that's here. If you imagine that this was your brainstem and your amygdala was here, And then there's your cortex, and here's your prefrontal cortex. This is where you want to act, what you want to use. That's why we have visionary leaders. That's creative. That's intuition. It's all those really beautiful, beautiful things. Well, we know that mindfulness-based practices such as affect labeling, or we call it mindful emotions, but in psychology they call it affect labeling. Name what you're feeling begins to deactivate this. So it calms it down, because if this is going, you can't get to here.
No.
And this is where we want people to think from, right? So if we teach them to be mindful of what they're thinking or feeling, it rewires your brain. You start to use this.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I was like, oh, jaw drop when I read that. I
Well,
was
yeah,
like,
because
I knew it, I knew it, I knew it.
You know, yeah. I think the other thing too is that when you're go,
Well, this
you're
is
never thinking from here.
No, because you're in that fight, flight, freeze, got to go, like stress, that anxious, whatever. That's why we pause, and then over time, it becomes a little bit more natural. Like we have to be doing
Intentional
things,
about it.
and just be more, be more
Yeah.
intentional about it. I would use that feelings wheel thing, and actually, I need to make my own because I have about 3 different versions of it. And I was looking at it the other day, and I thought, oh, well, I don't relate to any of these feelings. These aren't on my wheel.
Let me put this on the wheel. I think the other thing too, and like in the morning is my time to think from here, because everything is quiet.
Quiet. It's much easier. It's hard to do when you're in chaos.
Oh yeah,
right?
you
It's
can't.
a lot harder.
No, you can't. And that's why sometimes, and if I wake up like at 2:30 in the morning or something like that, and sometimes I feel fully rested. You know, maybe I've only been asleep like 4 hours. You know, I mean, and so, but what I don't do is slumber and cause myself to go back to sleep. What I do is sit still for a minute to see if there's something that's being downloaded.
Oh, right.
You know.
Yeah, because some of my most intuitive thoughts sometimes come, and either that at like lunchtime, I have no idea, but that like 11:30 time, I think it's because I'm ready for a timeout again, and I start to get quiet.
Ready
like
for
by
a
the time
timeout. I can't get you.
I need a timeout.
She's ready for a timeout. The thing too is, so I think, so that's why I really like mindfulness, because it really helps you get centered.
There you go. That's a good, and grounded or connected
Yes.
or rooted or whatever. It
Yes.
is. But to still be connected.
Yeah, isn't that something? But really, to be
Together.
for that, like that. But I think that, and I think that's when I do my best thought and coming up with things.
What would be the
is
best when you ever came?
Yeah, and I think that's when new ideas come to me, creativity comes to me. Do this, do that, think about this, that, or the other. You know, and so I think that that's my time to do, because the rest of the day is like,
You're busy. I know you. I don't know how you keep up. I'm always like,
I think
he
it's the
just
morning.
goes.
It's the morning centering
It
and
sets you up.
grounding.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it sets you up to be able to be connected
Yes.
and centered. And,
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
love it.
you know. So how does that work? And I've learned that from really actually your stuff. So tell people how they can become that way. Tell people how they can begin to allow mindfulness to come into their space.
I always suggest to start with the breath, because
with the
people
breath.
say,
So
I don't have time. Well, you're
Yeah.
always freaking breathing, so you have time. You know?
praise God.
And again, there's some science on this
Yeah.
that you actually alter your nervous system by, you have the power.
Mm-hmm.
And people, we have this huge issue with anxiety and whatnot. So I would say, feel the sensations through your nose. Feel the rise and fall of your chest, the
Mm-hmm.
expansion, contraction of your abdomen, whatever, count.
So you like diaphragmatic?
You could use your whole
Breathing?
diaphragm. Choose any kind of way that feels good to you, but just start with your breath. That would be the first way. And the second way, I always say, like if you're wanting specific practices, is to scan your body head to toe or feet to toes, or even a simple
So what does that mean?
sense. So it's easiest in your hands and feet if you start because of the nerve endings.
Yeah.
So can you sense, if you sense your fingers right now, can you sense them?
Yeah.
Do they tingle? Do they have a temperature?
They could.
They could. If you feel them, what do you feel?
I just feel fingers.
You know, but do they have anything? And you might not feel anything. How about your toes? You might feel them in your shoes.
I feel, you know.
Might feel the way you're seated in a chair. That's a way to do
Yeah,
it.
I'm on the one hip.
One hip, and you can feel it. But tuning into your body. There's
Yeah.
a formal body scan practice that you can use. But if you just started, and you don't have to be all formal about it. Just sense
Yeah.
your hands and feet, or your core. I'm not very good at sensing my core. It's something I have to practice. but say driving stresses me out. So I sense my hands and
Driving
feet.
is not a good one for me to have mindfulness.
No, but I sense my hands and feet.
Yeah, because okay.
So it's an active
Yeah.
way to do it. Because people tell me they don't have time, you could sense your feet as you're walking, like from your, I don't care, from your car to into the house, into the grocery store. Sense your feet on the ground, how they feel in your shoes. So it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, like you have. Now, I'll tell you something I did the other day. In practicing and trying to understand a little more of mindfulness, I said, I know if I put my feet together, that I could bend over and get my toes. And I did.
And you did. Look at you go.
And I was like, okay.
Look at you.
Okay. So
I love it.
Start doing that.
Yeah.
And then I did that because I wanted to feel the back coming up. So I was all the way over.
You're fully in your body and present.
And yeah, to feel each bone.
Your vertebrae move.
Of the vertebrae, yeah.
That's really powerful stuff. And
Well,
your flying
it
being
is.
flexible is
I
a
thought
sign of
about
your
a whole,
age.
I thought about a whole work study by the time I got up. For real.
Yeah.
I was like, to me, this is almost like what you have to do in marketing. There are points in certain things you have to do at different times. And so I made note of that.
That's awesome.
So, you know what I'm saying? So mindfulness to me is being aware. If we was to just, like this table is flat here, to me this is where you start at.
Yep.
Realizing that the table is flat.
Yeah, that's an awareness, right?
To build on that now, I can recognize that my fingers, when I do this, I can make a fist.
You can make a fist.
Yeah, from there I can do my.
You can move.
Yes.
You having your moving meditation over here. You're moving, and it absolutely is.
And so everything.
Because you're fully present.
Yes.
With it. You're present. You're aware of
That's
what's
the
going
word
on.
that I think
You're
is
present.
important. Is to be present in the moment.
And that's exactly it. I have a magnet on my refrigerator that says peace doesn't mean that there's not chaos and whatever going around you. It means that you have calmness and stillness in your heart regardless.
Yes.
And that's what mindfulness is to me, is
I love
there's a lot of crap going on in the world. There's a lot of
Yeah.
crap going on in my mind.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I can't pause and just be like, oh my gosh, the table is flat. Or I feel my
Yeah.
feet. Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be. And sometimes it is really powerful, beautiful, amazing experiences I have because of it, like beyond this world sort of thing. So there's that. But it is sometimes as simple as I can smell the air.
Yes.
And
the trees. Sometimes you look at the trees and they talk.
They talk. I've heard them. It is a sweet, almost sound like a
Oh my
flute to me.
goodness! I think people would think we're crazy right now.
I probably do. I've normally told a few people that, so no. Whoops. I let the memes out.
So, if you listen, and I think that takes to something else too. Mindfulness is really cool.
And it can be applied so many ways. Make it your own way. Because I do it, I teach it, and I've studied it a lot for past 5, 6, 7 years, and I just really feel like I still make it my own each day. Sometimes I'm more inclined to do it this way, and sometimes that way.
Yeah.
But again, that's mindfulness isn't passing judgment on it. It's being okay. Being okay with it. Because think about those quotes.
Non-judgmental. Just saying, hey, it is
what it is, right?
Yes. And I think people say
what
that's
you
an old
resist
cliche.
persists. You can't move from where you're at if you're walking around ticked off about it.
No,
so
you can't.
You have to be here.
Yes, and just do it, and just accept whatever it is you need to accept. Get rid of the stuff you don't have to have.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
So simple.
And it sounds really simple, but a lot of people have a lot of hard trouble with it, and I think it takes time.
It's practice.
It is.
We don't say
practice.
meditation perfection. We say meditation practice.
Yes.
It's a practice.
That's right.
I'm practicing. I'm going to be practicing forever.
Yeah.
I have and if we have like kind of an end goal, it kind of defeats the purpose.
I don't know if I meditate.
You don't have to.
I don't know if I do. I do. I guess I do.
And I actually,
I'm deep into
my
that.
first meditation training was with a Catholic priest actually, who taught mind training. They tried to actually excommunicate him from the church for teaching it. It's very funny, but now he teaches all over the world. And I learned it like 15 years ago. But he taught that there were kind of multiple versions of meditation. So meditation can be that contemplative, where you could be speaking a mantra, a prayer, or there's also this open, in mindfulness we teach it differently than that, but there's also that space, like when I go to meditate, I might use something to get into this space, but then there's just space. And sometimes I do it like that, and sometimes
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, my head, I'm not getting there.
Yeah.
I'm going to use this mantra or this prayer, and that is enough. I don't think that, again, why would we pass judgment on it? Does it
Yeah.
work for you?
I love affirmations, and they work for me. And I mean, there's a morning routine that I do, but I do them also during the day.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm practicing that, actually, trying to find ways to implement that into the day. I had been slacking
Yeah.
on it altogether, and it was so obvious. So obvious. Because again, you're rewiring your brain. You're being mindful of what are my thoughts and my feelings, what's going on outside of me
Right.
that isn't really what I want. And how do I really want to live? Like, how do I
Right.
want to show up?
Yeah. How do I
show up with my values? How do I serve?
Right.
How do I fulfill my purpose?
Yes.
All of those things. How do we do that without, being
Yeah.
mindful of what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing is that, God, the time passed. But I think, yeah, I agree with that. It seemed like this plant should be there. I was mindful that it wasn't.
Oh, you're so funny. Yeah.
I was mindful that it wasn't there. Probably should be on that table over there. But anyway, this is good. But I think also too, sometimes I just look up and the majesty just overwhelms me. I'm awed by it. That's another thing of being mindful of the power and the majesty of.
Well, it brings more of that to your life. Again, there's neuroscience on this, and it's fascinating because the more you pay attention to something, the more that's what you see. So if you pay attention to the magic in your life, then suddenly there's a bunch more magic for you to pay attention to, which is
And that's not
magical.
magic, but majesty,
Right.
His majesty. I mean, you see the beauty of what's been created. And it's something that you just
Nature
say,
is a
wow.
way. I think when people struggle with mindfulness, sometimes I'm like, go sit in the stars or go sit in the grass. Go sit on the
my
ocean,
goodness.
sit in the forest, like sit somewhere.
And you're right, because I know when I lived in California, we would go to the beach all the time. I was either in Monterey or Santa
That'd be
Cruz
so
or
nice.
somewhere.
The beach is
I was-
calling me.
Yes. And when I would go to the beach and we would be just hanging out, I'm telling you, it was just looking at the ocean. Oh my gosh.
It's so strong and powerful, but yet you feel so at peace. That my sister
You
and I talk
do.
about this with the ocean in specifically. You're like, this could totally drown me in a second, right? I mean,
Yes.
it's so, and destroy
It's
how many
enormous.
things.
Yeah.
But yet I sit there in complete peace when I sit there and listen to
Yes.
it and smell it and the sand. That when I create this relaxation space in my mind, that's where I'm at, is at the at the beach.
And me too, because that's where it's a happy, peaceful,
calm,
soulful place.
and you feel strong. Like at the same
Yes.
time, I feel really empowered being
Because
there.
I'll tell you, I've been on a couple of cruises, and the first one I went, it was just like awesome. The second one I went, it was awesome too. But the last night, I went up top, and because I would just love that alone time.
Alone time.
And it's peaceful, and all that water. But anyway, after I, was like done praying and just going through my stuff up there, I looked around and there was water everywhere. And I said, I cannot drink all this water. And immediately, I was ready to go home.
Go home. All done.
I couldn't wait till the next. I didn't even go to sleep that night. I was like, this is a lot of water. I need to get out of here. But and I haven't wanted to go back on another one, but I think
It is a lot of water when you're out there in the middle of it.
I was like, okay, there's no way I could drink this much water if this ship was to go down. But you shouldn't be thinking about that. So that was something came in and
Smidgen.
stole my peace.
Someone
is
stole
what
your-
happened.
yeah, something- some little
But
piece of-
I realized what it was after that, so I'm good now. But
There you go. That would be mindfulness.
Yes.
You realize something stole your peace and you realize
Yes.
what it was.
Yes.
That is mindfulness.
thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was mindfulness at the time.
Well, we call it that. You can call it
Yeah,
something else.
yeah.
Again, I don't care. You
But
can
you know
call it
what?
whatever you want.
I realized what it was and who it was, and that was important.
That's
because
super
now I
important.
know.
You make a
Yes.
conscious choice then.
Yes, yes. To
That's
say,
why we do
"Get
all
the
these
hell out of here."
Right.
Right? But, I
I
think
love it.
that the other thing is that we just need to be conscious all the time of ourselves. And so pausing, we talked about that a little earlier. When you hear something that maybe really grinds you or really gets you like to 60, stop.
Pause. Practice the pause.
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 Because 9 times out of 10, if you don't, you're going to say something that you're going to say, I wish I had.
And then you have all those other issues to fix, right?
Exactly.
You have a whole other set of problems
Yes.
than what you had in
So-
the first place. So just
Yes,
pause.
so pause.
And let
I
that stuff
love
come to
that.
you later. And sometimes it might take, I'm somebody, if I get mad, sometimes it takes me a few, not that I don't get over being mad, but it takes me a few days to be able to.
I was going to say, it takes me a few days if I get really mad.
Yeah, to be able to be nice and,
could you
and be
have-
able to have the conversation I need to have, because I have to have a whole bunch of thoughts about
Yeah.
my feelings,
I have to
about
get
my
a lot
thoughts
out.
about my feelings.
I have to get a lot out.
And I got to figure out how am I going to communicate this in a way that doesn't cause a whole nother set of problems.
I know. So I take the 2 days,
Take a
or
couple
3 days,
days.
whatever it is, and I work it out.
Work
I
it
just-
out.
And so when I see that person, or who, if it's a person that
I can have that
I
conversation.
can have the conversation, and I can be calm.
And not be like
and I
spiteful
can-
or passive aggressive or something.
Right,
Because sometimes when people
right.
try to have that conversation before they can,
It-
they're not
it-
really ready.
No, and you lose it.
Yeah.
You lose.
So pause a few days if you
Pause
have
a
to.
few days, and then just let it kind of roll.
I even say, people, I say, just send an, if it's a text message, say, I'm not in a position to answer this right now.
Yeah,
I will get back
exactly.
to you.
Yes.
You can reply, but
just get back.
just get back. I'll get back
Yeah,
to
I
you.
think you have to do that. So, Amy, what's the name of your business?
Creative wellness.
So, Creative Wellness by Amy McCae.
Yes, ma'am.
If you guys haven't seen her on LinkedIn, you really should go there. It will change your life. Mindfulness is really cool in so many ways, and you can access it and use it in almost any way, any area of your life. I think it is life.
It is life, right?
I think it is life, but I
agree.
think that to understand that just being mindful of your surroundings, being mindful of your breath, your body, being mindful of the people you love, and you know, and just taking that in, you know, and whatever that is that calms you and makes you feel good, you know, understand and be mindful of it. So when you need to have it, you can have it. And when you need to get away to have it, go and do that as well.
Yeah, and if you're like, don't pass judgment if you're angry or judgy or whatever. That's where
Yeah.
you're at. That's being mindful of. You are. Work it out.
Yeah.
Spend some time with yourself.
Yeah, and
Cultivate. I always say cultivate compassion and curiosity for yourself and your experiences, because
Yes.
we're not going to be perfect. I don't care how
That's
much you
right.
practice mindfulness. I still get mad. I still cuss sometimes. I still do things that I shouldn't.
because mindfulness is life.
It is. It's
And-
fully embracing all
Yes,
of it.
all of it. Yes, it is. Give a tip or two to some of the people out there that would maybe are just stressed out and don't know what to do. Just give them a tip or something.
Journal.
Journal. It's always good to get stuff down, isn't it?
So what I used to do this, and I'm doing it again, is to, because I slack in journaling, and mindfulness is one of those things. Again, I'm not perfect. So I take a notebook and 2 sheets, and I write 6 areas of life, 3 on one page and 3 on the other. So I have wellness, finances, business, love, spirituality. No, I have 6 across the top. And then I write, depending on my mood, what I'm grateful for under those things, how those things make me feel, benefit, feel. I imagine scenarios. I write things like I was writing about things I want to do with my daughters and how it would feel to be able to spend that time with them. So I wrote about that because, again, it generates those feelings of joy and gratitude
Yes.
and those things. So that's how I do it, because that's a way to get in touch with, and like, what do you even want? And I was kind of not feeling like I knew what I wanted. And when I started to do this practice again,
Then
I'm
it-
like, okay, I remember this is what and I started off. The first night I was like, this is kind of generic, Amy. You know, this is really not feeling it. Like you're seeing it, you're getting an
Yeah.
idea. But by like the 3rd or 4th night, I was like, okay,
got
now I
this.
feel it. And anybody could do that. And you don't have to do 6, pick one a
Yeah.
night
Yeah,
or
and
something.
just-
One a night or
yeah.
one in the morning. I think that is one of the easiest
Yeah.
ways to get back in touch with
With yourself.
self and what do I want? What do I feel? What are the things that I really enjoy?
Yeah.
And everybody wants more joy.
This is Amy McCae, and Amy has Creative Wellness. She is on LinkedIn. Do you have a Facebook page?
No,
LinkedIn page? Yeah, LinkedIn page.
sort of.
Yeah. Okay. You can reach Amy on LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn.
On
Or my
LinkedIn.
email,
Or your email.
amy@gmail. And I'm narrowing down to one website, the amymckay.com.
So
That's really
amymckay.com.
streamlined,
Yeah. So go to amymckay.com. She's awesome. She's phenomenal. And I tell you, once you learn a little bit about mindfulness, you'll be able to have better days and better nights. Wake up when you want to, go to sleep when you want to, and just be happy and have peace and joy in your life. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. You're so amazing.
Yes. We'll see you next time. Thank you for joining the Business Connection. Have a good day.